Hi guys, welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay. As once again we have a very interesting engagement from the South Korean scene and quite a out of the ordinary tactics from the Terran player, as we're going to be seeing something not usually what the Terrans do, but of course I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm just going to start by introducing the players to you guys as we are spawning here in the upper left part in the blue. It is JUNI from South Korea. I believe this is a South Korean pro, and his opponent spawning here in the lower left in the red. It is Shine. I believe this is actually the brother from Flash, but I could be mistaken. So he's the one who's going to be doing something quite out of the ordinary here as the spawning on a spawning location map. As you can see, they're also chatting pretty much, so this might have been a friendly replay. Maybe they're just testing some new strategies here. We're about to find out what exactly is going to happen as we have him opening up here pretty standardly with a supply depot. I believe they're talking about a MSL tournament, and actually the observer is also writing here pretty much a lot. Sadly I don't see the South Korean letters there, so it looks like the Zerg going Overlord first. You can see of course the production tab for the build order, so we might see the Zerg either go into a spawning pool or go into a fast expansion build order, and by the looks of it, it's actually saving minerals for that fast expansion, so we are going to be seeing him go for this. So he's feeling of course very confident. It is a 4 spawning location map. The Terran also nicely walling off here the entrance, so right now it's pretty standard stuff by both players, and we are going to be seeing the first scout here by the Zerg who is moving out, and also his Overlord made it very far out onto the map. Gas is being continued very soon. A spawning pool is or should actually follow here for the Zerg. Let's check the Terran. A very early gas for him, and their barracks is about to get finished, so very soon we might see him go into more barracks, you might see him go into more factories. We're about to find out what his special tactics are here onto this map versus the Zerg, as the Zerg is now heading in, sadly for him, into the wrong direction, but he could actually keep this drone here and build an expansion later on. Yeah, he's just scouting and moving forward. Let's check his main. There's the spawning pool, 50 workers for the Terran, 12 for the Zerg, as we see actually now the first factory getting spawned by the Terran, so pretty standard stuff. The scouting SCV is now finally reaching its destination. He's going to see the build order here for the Zerg, and of course he's going to try to stay as much as possible here just to see when exactly, or if there's going to be a tier 2 upgrade for this hatchery, and if there's going to be a second expansion next to this one. So the drone is coming up. There is one marine here in position. Drone sees the barracks and the factory, but of course has no access in the back of the base here from the Terran. So yeah, pretty much blind Zerg, but of course he could move a Overlord forward to see exactly what the Terran is up to, as we see the first Zerglings are getting spawned, and the SCV will be chased away very soon by the Zerglings, but he's of course trying to stay as much as he can. He really wants to see this info right here. He is looking for the tier 2 upgrade, so he knows right now that it's either going to be Hydralisk with Zerglings, or perhaps later on some Spire gameplay with some Mutalisk. Of course Mutalisk very popular versus the Terran, especially as they get nicely microed, and actually it's a very fast tier 2 upgrade here for the Zerg, so very soon we're going to be seeing him go into some different units. We see a Vultures moving forward, but there is a Sunken here. However, this Vulture was very deadly against the Zerglings, so the Zerg has to retreat back into the safety from the Sunken. Let's just check the Terran once again. Let's check his main. Actually, this is what I told you, the special tactics here. We see 2 starports. One is actually being hidden here in the back, so at around the 4-minute mark the Terran already finishing here his starports, and he's going for WRAITH. So indeed WRAITH is going to be his tactics. Let's see if this is going to work out. I believe I have casted a game with Flash doing WRAITHs, as now even Cloak is getting researched. So WRAITH versus Zerg seems to be very strong, especially against the Overlords in the air, as you can supply block the Zerg. So let's see if this is going to be successful here for Shine, as around the 5-minute mark the first WRAITH is now moving out onto the map, and let's see if he's going to be able to scout or actually kill something here. So right now the Zerg knows of course it's going to be WRAITH, so he has to make those anti-air units as fast as he can. Either Hydralisk or some Scourges would be very good. And right now the Zerg is pretty much supply block. The second Overlord might get snapped here very soon by the Terran. And pretty much the Zerg has no anti-air, so the Terran could just snipe Overlord after Overlord. So quite a deadly strategy here. The floodgates are pretty much closed here, as yet another Overlord is going to get sniped, and the third Overlord was around this direction, as Overlord speed hasn't been done yet. So yeah, those Wraiths, great stuff here by Shine, showing us quite of the ordinary gameplay. But notice it is a very long replay, around a 23-minute game. We already have 3 Wraiths out, so many Overlords have killed, and as a Zerg, many Zergs would have probably GG'd out here, but JUNI really wants to stay into this game, and the first Mutalisk are also getting spawned by him. But yeah, drone after drone is getting killed. We might see him indeed finishing Cloak, and I don't know why exactly the Terran has microed back here his units, as he could have been able to stay and perhaps snipe a Mutalisk or two. I believe he's going to try to kill the entrance here, so an interesting move here by Shine. I really don't agree with that, but then again, he's a pro gamer, so he knows exactly what he's doing. He could have been successful into sniping some Mutalisk here. He could have stayed into this position. Perhaps he was scared that an Overlord would have popped out, but not that many Mutalisk are here, just around 5. And let's see how many Wraiths there are in the air. 6. I believe he's waiting for a larger number of Wraiths to move out, and already crippling here the economy from the Zerg, and also sniping some Overlords around 3 to 4, as we have now finally Scourges in the air for the Zerg. So all what the Terran has to do now just to snipe those Overlords, and the Zerg is going to be pretty much blind. But yeah, right now he's just sending out a scout towards the expansion point. Check once again how many Wraiths he has. Let's check the upgrades. Still 0 to 0. We can see some upgrades for the Mutalisk, and more Wraiths are being produced here for the Terran, as the Terran is actually staying back home. The same can be said, of course, for the Zerg. He's scared to move out. He needs those Overlords protected. He's pretty much going to just patrol the base here. So we have a small stalemate now here into this game, as we see now the hatchery, the Hydralisk Den being produced here. And of course the speed has to be done here for those Overlords, as they need to escape the Wraiths. And let's see if the Terran is just going to pretty much mass produce Wraiths. Yeah, actually also producing some Marines now. Steam is getting research, so it could be a transition into Marines. Yeah, let's see what his plans are. Very soon we're closing here towards the half time, towards the 10-minute mark. The speed, I believe, has also been done here for the Wraiths, as the Zerg is now actually feeling confident to move out with his Overlords, with his Scourges onto the air, and he really wants to secure his second expansion. Notice that the Terran has no expansion, so this is pretty much a one base strategy, and he might go for his, he has to go for his expansion, right? As this game continues, he's pretty much going to be behind. So the Zerg is patrolling here the map, adding more Sunkens, some Hydralisks, so a nice mix of units, as the Terran is now slowly moving out. Remember, Steam has been finished. We do have, however, Lurkers for the Zerg, so Lurkers, of course, the perfect answer against so many Marines on the ground, backed up by those Wraiths in the air. The 0-0 upgrades, 0-0 for the Marines, and we actually have one Glaive Worm upgrade here for the Mutalisk, so 1 weapons upgrades for them, as the Terran now feels confident to move out onto the map. And there's actually many Sunkens, no Lurkers yet here for the Terran. As income so many Wraiths, they will very likely be kited here back and forth. They will try to snipe unit after unit, and let's see if he's going to be successful. One Sunken already taking quite some damage. The Overlords might get snapped very soon, so now there's Marines backing up those Wraiths, and the Wraiths will very likely try to just be kited here back and forth. So the micro has to be very strong. One Overlord pretty much getting killed, Sunken really low, immediately getting sniped. The Hydralisk will also take quite some damage, so the Wraiths are very nicely abusing here the micro from Shine, and even the Sunkens will now take damage. There is no detection for Lurkers. He might try a scan, but yeah, those Wraiths really strong. The Zerg has to also be very fast into microing. He needs to be careful not to make any mistakes. The Marines are, of course, on hold position. The medics will do a great job into healing them. And yeah, quite an interesting game we have here, as the Zerg now pretty much under siege with invisible Wraiths here for the Terran. He might get a good shot sniping another sunken, dealing damage towards those Mutilisks, just nicely microing them back and forward, as we even have an overlord now here into this location. But the real action is of course happening here, and the Terran might try to snipe the lone overlords here, so very nice stuff by him, as the Sunkens now even take more and more damage. But there are two lurkers, Mutalisk also taking quite some damage, so this is a very interesting strategy by the Terran. Yeah, the Zerg tries to answer to deal damage as well. Let me just click onto those Wraiths. Some of them are hurt, but the Mutalisk also taking really lots and lots of damage here, so very hard for the Zerg to out micro this. Medics should be healing here. Let's see how this is going to continue. The Zerg pretty much under siege. The Wraiths are still in position, and by the looks of it, the Terran looks like he's going to abandon this position. I believe he just has bought some time for his expansion. Could this be the answer from the Terran? There is no expansion actually here for him. He just stood back into defending. So yeah, his decision is here quite interesting. He's deciding to actually pull back and allow the Zerg to move out with his Mutalisk. All of them pretty much hurt here with the Scourges. The Zerg might try to catch up here. He might try to snap some of the Marines on the ground. Let's see if he's going to be successful. So much anti-air here for the Terran, so in come the Mutalisk, as lots and lots of damage is going to be taken by those Wraiths. Pretty much dominating here the skies, even though they have no upgrades, and actually some SCVs could be added here for some mechanical usage, just to upgrade, just to repair those Wraiths in the air, as the in comes once again an attack. But there I saw 2, even 3 turrets here, so yeah, the Zerg pretty much has to retreat, as he has to also secure his expansion. And let's just check now. Finally, a bunker is being placed, and actually a command center there into this location. So yeah, right now quite a interesting game we have indeed here in between the two pros. Some Valkyries could be added here for the Terran, just to pretty much secure the complete air dominance for the Terran versus the Zerg. Yeah, things have settled down a little bit. Some lone Marines will be sniped. And yeah, it's just going to scout for the other expansion, as the Terran is now also taking here his expansion. So quite still anyone's game. The Mutalisk are moving forward, but I don't really agree with this move. There's just so much anti-air here for the Terran, so it would be pretty much a suicide mission for the Zerg to engage here against so many Marines, so many Wraiths on the ground. He's picking up some units. Those lurkers are really important, but they do get scanned. So if the Terran would have moved out, it would have been very deadly for him. So much splash damage could have been taken here by him. As yeah, the Marines, check those upgrades. 1 plus upgrade, still 0-0 for the Wraith. Let's check the Mutalisk, still 0-1. And we even have now irradiate by those science vessels, but he needs to be careful not to take damage out of the Mutalisk. And a very bad micro here all of a sudden by the Zerg. He's taking more and more damage here, sadly for him. The Mutalisk will fall of course, but he took some splash damage, as now the Terran feels confident to move out with his Marines, with those important science vessels in the air. And let's not forget the Wraith, but I believe he forgot about this group of units here, as he should of course now finally move forward just to back up the infantry. And we even see one lone Marine here killing some units. He will of course be cleared very soon, as more and more units are getting picked up. Sadly here for the Zerg, he's forgotten about some overlords, and once again he's being supply blocked. So yeah, those Wraiths are really pesky, really annoying here versus the Zerg, as every unit kill of course counts a lot. We do see now Marines versus lurkers. There's the scan. Irradiate should follow very soon if there is energy available. But this expansion right here is pretty much exposed, so I believe the Terran, yes indeed, by the looks of it, he's moving forward onto the map just to kill this expansion. The Zerg responding, but so many lurkers are here hidden. As in comes the attack, the Wraiths all of a sudden are pretty much exposed. Irradiate goes out, but yet the Wraiths on cloak. There are no overlords here for the Zerg, as his lurkers take more and more damage, and in come the Marines, but what a splash damage being dealt. So lurkers inbound. However, the real damage dealers are of course the still Marines here. The Wraiths are in the air, they do take damage. And let's see how this is going to unfold. There's so many lurkers on board here, so Shine needs to be careful not to take splash damage out of the lurkers. Really deadly unit against the infantry from the Terran, as he has to of course retreat, and even one science vessel is going to get killed. The second one taking some damage. We have another group of Marines arriving here, and yeah, the Zerg has now control of the high ground, but his expansion has been sniped, as more and more lurkers will be produced here by him, and the Terran is pretty much regrouping here. And yeah, we see actually some tanks getting produced as science vessels, so this could be a transition out of WRAITH straight into tanks versus the lurkers here on the ground. Terran needs to be careful. Once again, lots and lots of splash damage is being taken here by him. The Zerg shows us how good the lurkers are on the ground versus the Marines, and even one science vessel has been taken out. So all of a sudden the Zerg taking the initiative, moving here forward. All of a sudden, after a great early game by the Terran, is now being pushed back with all of those lurkers, and even this base should be secured. So what can be the answer here from the Terran? Is it going to be an answer? He really needs those science vessels to detect the units from the Zerg, as now we finally do have triple science vessels for him. So there is vision, there is good supply, but yeah, those lurkers are quite deadly versus the Marines on the ground. And I believe the tanks will be the answer, much needed tanks against the lurkers. And now Irradiance is going to follow very soon versus the... He just needs to be careful not to lose those important units. One Scourge attempted here to kill one, and the second one also very near. And yeah, the lurkers just keep on taking irradiate after irradiate. Nice job by the Terran as she just keeps on irradiating unit after unit. At the same time, the Zerg is expanding here into this location. So still anyone's game, an interesting game. Perhaps a small advantage for the Terran, but there's so many lurkers on the ground, so they can of course pretty much take out all of the infantry. So now the Zerg is going to pretty much engage here. I saw so much splash damage being taken by the Marines. The Terran tries to nicely out-micro this, but it's pretty much impossible to out-micro against so many lurkers on the ground. So the infantry is pretty much melted here for the Terran, as even one science vessel once again is going to be taken out. So you can see actually with a lower supply, the Zerg is taking out so many Terran units, as the medics pretty much healing themselves here versus the lurkers. And now we even have a counter-attack with once again lurkers on the ground and upgraded Zerglings, as we see now finally the reaction for the Terran. He really needs those tanks in the front, he really needs them backed up by the infantry, as the Zerg now pretty much in control of the map. So yeah, let's check the upgrades once again. 0 to 0, 0 to 2 for the infantry, and the Zerglings are 1, 0, 0 to 1, as they actually take damage out of this one siege tank right here. So yeah, it looks like siege tank is going to be the answer with irradiate versus the units. But the Terran really has to hurry up, as the Zerg just keeps on taking more and more control of the map, more and more bases very soon. And the Terran, remember, is still on a 2-base strategy versus his opponent. So yeah, still anyone's game, both players below the 100 supply mark. Science Vessel seems to be the answer versus the lurkers on the ground. Just needs to be careful against those scourges in the air, and he should be fine here versus the lurkers. So much irradiance, massive amounts of irradiance being casted, and the lurkers will fall of course against that spell. So let's see what exactly the next move from the Terran and the next move from the Zerg is going to be. Look like the Zerg is going into mass Zerglings. So let's see if this is going to work out versus upgraded Steam Marines. We have an engagement here, the Zerglings are coming in, the siege tanks are now sieging up, but we even have a Defiler with Dark Swarm. So the Terran pretty much has to uplift his units here and to move out. The tanks immediately getting taken out. So good move here by the Zerg, showing us the strength now for the Defilers into the late game. So yeah, another tank might get sniped. We do have Steam Marines, so some Zerglings will be lost. Yeah, still Defiler seems to be the answer for the Zerg, and we also have the answer now from the Terran. It is going to be indeed mass fire bats onto the ground, looking very nice. Shine having the red color, and now even the fire bats are nicely into the red. So let's see what's going to happen. 2 science vessels have been taken out. The fire bats of course can deal damage, I believe, into the Dark Swarm. So yeah, stimmed fire bats moving forward versus the Zerg even catching up with this one Defiler. And yeah, the Defiler immediately getting taken out by so much fire. Some Zerglings are moving forward, but there's so many fire bats on the ground, they will be able to take care of that. And not that much being left here alive for the Zerg. There is an Idle Swarm, there are 2 Sunkens in the back. and he just wants to take care of that as he's just moving more and more forward with his units on the ground. And some Zerg is too cool here forward, but I believe the Terran might have done it here with the medics. Yes, indeed, we see some reaction for the observer here, and we do have a GG from JUNI as JUNI is going to leave the game. So what an interesting game, an interesting transition here by the Terran. What has started very good for the Terran with WRAITH versus the air units, especially versus those overlords in the air and even the Sunkens on the ground, has continued with the comeback from the Zerg with lurkers versus the infantry, and we even have a nice shooting tank here. So yeah, the Terran responding then with fire bats versus the Dark Swarm for the Zerg. And in the end, of course, those science vessels in the air, the perfect counter versus the lurkers with that irradiate and even countering the Mutalisk in the air. So quite an interesting strategy. You might try to test it on the ladder, perhaps as a Terran versus the Zerg. I believe you can also annoy the Protoss with it, but of course it's much needed and used against the Overlord. So just like the Protoss does it with the Corsairs, Shine is showing us that it is interesting and possible to do versus the Zerg as well. And let's not forget that the WRAITH also attack ground, so you can snipe many workers after the Overlords have been killed, of course. So yeah, quite an interesting strategy. Once again, I'm clicking here left and right just in case you guys are interested into the statistic. See a nice APM from Shine, actually JUNI with a higher APM, but yeah, in the end those WRAITH proved to be early on very much annoying, and in the end the fire bats pretty much securing the win here for Shine. So very interesting replays. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be seeing, of course, in the next replays. This is Tommy signing out.